And we're live. We are live. Welcome in, ladies. Who is joining me live today? Welcome in. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about what I'm going to talk about. But before I go into today's details, if this is the first time that you are seeing a video of mine or you're watching a live training of mine, whatever the case, you are welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. My name is Abby and I am a life coach. So I help professional women, especially female leaders. I help them have balance in their lives. And so what you're going to hear today is one of the, if not the top, the most predominant issues that many women in the workplace are facing on a daily basis. And what am I talking about? All right, let's get started. So we are going to be talking about all about the pressure to consistently prove yourself at work. Ring-a-ding-ding. Do you guys know why I sigh? I sigh because I spent the better part of my educational and professional life struggling with this problem. And I didn't know it was a problem. All I knew was there's certain things within me that are making me feel like I have to do more than is required so that I can feel like I have earned my place where I am. And so over the course of my I'm going to share my story for those of you who haven't heard it, but over the course of my journey, my educational background and my profession, I came to realize that working twice as hard is not necessarily the smartest way to do so. However, many women continue to struggle with this because it is a need that's ingrained in them based on certain factors which we're going to talk about today. And so when you understand where that need is coming from, ring-a-ding-ding, you are going to have, or you're going to learn how to overcome it. Okay, so that is the gist of what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome in, ladies. Welcome in. If you're joining me from Facebook, say Team Facebook or put Team Facebook in a chat. And if you're joining me from LinkedIn, say Team L. Maybe we should say Team F for Facebook. Team F for Facebook, Team L for LinkedIn. I'll think about it. Okay, so welcome in again, ladies. Welcome in. Let's get started. So what is this whole thing about needing to prove yourself? What is proving yourself? Let's even start from there. Like, what is proving yourself? Why is it that a lot of women, especially those who are climbing the corporate ladder, have this very strong need? Where did it come from? Why is it that we feel like we need to work 2 to 4 times as hard? In my own case, I work like 10 times as hard, just so that we can feel like we belong where we are. Where is it coming from? Okay. So ladies, part of my work is, excuse me, I have to clear my throat. Okay. So part of my work is looking at not just the psychological, so the behaviors and how we've been conditioned to act this way, but I've also been digging into the evolutionary perspective and our biological process that takes place that further doubles on this need to want to prove yourself. Okay, let's take a step back. So one of the things that, first of all, women have been in the workplace for, I don't think it's up to a century. I believe it's about 50 something years. So that's very young in comparison to our DNA and the way we've been wired and how our brain has evolved to pretty much protect us. And so a lot of women, myself included, well, humans in general, but a lot of us have the same brain, mind, perspective, wiring, and coding that we and our ancestors had in those days where they were struggling to survive. And so what will happen is that, our foremothers and our forefathers, I'm grateful for them. But what will happen is that, when they go out to hunt and gather food, they would pretty much they might encounter a lion. And when they encounter a lion, the body will pick that and sense that, and then it will respond. So it will trigger them into a state of fight or flight, which is stress. And then the body will be able to respond so that they can escape that lion chasing them, so it wouldn't eat them. Okay, so we pretty much developed, and human society developed based on that mechanism to be able to respond to threatening situations, whether perceived or not. What do I mean by that? Perceived means whether your brain is interpreting something as something else, even when the reality is not the case. So it doesn't matter to your brain. It's happening to you. And so what has happened is that in the society that we're living today, especially if you're in the Western society, the perceptions of threats, like women stepping into positions where they've never been before, whether they're rising and becoming leaders or they just got a promotion, that perception tends to trigger the same mechanism that our forefathers and foremothers encountered when they were looking for food. And so that will trigger that mechanism. And so what will happen is, women, or the person in this case, whether man or woman, doesn't matter, when you encounter that situation, you're either going to fight, so you're going to pretty much stay and fight with the lion. In this case, if it's someone who is saying something to you that you don't like, you're gonna argue with them, you're gonna become aggressive, you're gonna be like, don't talk to me like that. That's part of the fighting mechanism. If you just got a promotion, the way fighting may occur in you, maybe you arguing or you disagreeing or you just looking at everyone like they're not on your corner, like they're against you. That's part of fighting. That's part of your body's mechanism to respond to this position that you are, the perceived state of threat. If your body says, okay, we're not gonna fight, we're not gonna argue, we're not gonna speak or act aggressively, we're going to run away, then what will happen is women will start to quit. So they'll get into this position, they'll notice that, oh my gosh, everything feels stressful, and then they'll quit. So that's the running away. Okay, another way this could play out is you avoiding certain situations, not wanting to confront certain things that come up, especially if you're a leader and you have people that you're responsible for. A way that this flight mechanism will work is you'll be afraid to confront people, you'll be afraid to talk to your direct reports and your superiors. You will be doing a form of people pleasing. Part of people pleasing, you'll be doing that. And if you decide to freeze, then there's certain responses as well. But how does all of this tie into this need to prove yourself? Okay? Part of having the need to prove yourself is you being in that situation and saying, first of all, I'm in this new environment where I have never been. There are X amount of people that look like me. So I'm in the minority. And I'm talking specifically, if you are someone who's rising, you're a leader, or you are climbing the ladder, you're getting promoted and moving from one level to the other, your body's going to pick that up as new situation. There are not a lot of women that are going to be in that position that you are. So automatically it's thinking, oh, there's little amounts of people that look like us. So it's going to go into scarcity. One of the ways that we respond to scarcity is the stress response, right? So when you are in a situation of scarcity, that means that a lion is chasing you, okay? That means there's not enough food. And so the body's going to get triggered into a state of fight or flight. And part of fight or flight, or part of responding to that stress is, okay, I have to prove myself. That's one of the ways it manifests. So you're staying to fight, and you're telling yourself, I have to work 4 or 5 times as hard. in order to get the same level of respect that I have or I want. Okay, so what tends to happen is that this is all happening unconsciously. So you don't even know that your body is being triggered to a state of fight or flight. You don't know. Well, you might feel the effects, but you don't know where it's coming from. And the danger with living like this is that it's not sustainable. Our body wasn't built to consistently prove yourself constantly where you feel like you need to work 4, 5, 6 times as hard just so that you can pretty much feel like you belong and you have presence and people will respect you. That's the problem. If there was no problem with trying to prove yourself, then yeah, go ahead. I wouldn't even be here. I'm like, girl, go ahead, enjoy yourself. But the problem with that, it's not sustainable at a physiological level, so your biological level, your mind, your emotions, everything's going to be out of sync. And then to top it all, because this is where it gets interesting for us ladies, is that part of our biological makeup is our hormones, okay? The hormones are what tells our cells, our body, how to behave. Women, and this is not to make you feel like you cannot do anything, but as women, we have 3 major sex or reproductive hormones that really regulate our system. When you are in the process of consistently trying to work 4 or 5 times as hard and improve yourself, you are going to dysregulate your system. And that's why we're seeing a lot of women having so many hormonal imbalance issues, so many autoimmune disorders, so many sicknesses and illness. These are manifestations of having, or at least one of the reasons why our systems are so out of balance. And what that then leads to is that you lose who you are as a woman. You lose yourself in this job. And of course, when you lose yourself, everything else is gone. Your identity is gone. Your happiness is gone. The rates of depression that studies are reporting in women keeps increasing year after year. I talk about the unhappiness level that has been increasing. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that when you're trying to work 4 or 5 times as hard and then you leave work and go home to go take care of your family, you see that one person is working like 10 times as hard. And so eventually what happens is that, either the woman quits or her body breaks down. Most of the time that actually happens, where the body breaks down, then she realizes I cannot do this anymore, and then she quits. But many women, I talk to you guys, you're not in a position, you don't even have that luxury to want to quit because you're taking care of your families. So, well, if you quit, who's going to take care of them? Many of you tell me that, Avi, if it wasn't for my kids, if it wasn't for my mom, if it wasn't for my family, I would have gone, I would have quit. But I'm still there, and they're suffering every day. Their body's breaking down because one of the reasons is that they're in this place where there's no middle ground. I'm either killing and working myself to the bone or I'm out of there. But I'm here to tell you that there's actually a middle ground. There's a middle ground, and studies are showing that when women show up authentically, people feel that. And people respond better to that than when you're trying to work 4 or 5 times as hard, because there's dissonance in you, especially if you identify as a feminine core. So that means you identify as female. If you identify as that, then working twice as 4 times and 5 times as hard doesn't support you being female. And so there's going to be dissonance, lack of authenticity. And so when you are trying to lead a team, from a perspective where you actually have lost yourself, people can pick up that energy. Newsflash, the things that we say is about 10% of communication, and 90% is your energy, is your body language, the way that you say something, how you speak. And so when you're speaking from a exhausted, tired, because you're working that long, people feel that and they don't respond the way that you would want them to respond, which makes you, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because what will happen is women will say, AB, they don't listen to me as if, my male counterpart would have said that. And then we'll dial back and we're like, wait, there's a lack of authenticity here. There's dissonance here. We have not evolved to respect people that don't respect themselves. I'm going to keep saying this. And part of respecting yourself is, first of all, leading from a place where you feel comfortable with who you are, knowing that you are valuable from that point, and not overexerting and overexhausting yourself, even if the environment that you are in has that perception. I'm going to explain why I said even if. But even if continuing to maintain and be in integrity with who you are will take you farther, you will have more people under your team respecting you. You're leading from a place of balance and good health. Who doesn't value someone that is healthy? We all do. People will listen better. You will have better influence now, because people will start to think that, oh my gosh, if she cares so much about, healthy living, you're going to transfer that to them, and they're going to think that you care about them too, because the way that you do things will demonstrate that. Automatically, you gain people's trust, and now the things that you try to, or when you're trying to motivate them or influence them, automatically you're using less effort. You're using less effort. And people are reading that, and you are getting that feedback that, okay, it's okay to be authentic to who I am. Okay, so I'm going ahead of here. I'm getting ahead of myself here. But that's the end goal of that. So let's go back to, if you are someone who is in this place where you feel so much pressure, you feel like, AB, all you're saying is well and good, but I still feel that pressure. AB, all you're saying is well and good, but I still feel like when I'm talking, people are not going to take me seriously if I'm not overexerting myself, okay? So the first thing that I will ask you is, or I will advise you is awareness. So where are the situations, or what is happening in those interactions where you feel like nobody's taking you seriously unless you overexert yourself? Because from that awareness, you would be able to understand, is it a you or a them problem? Whichever the case, you can take those steps to change that. You can pretty much reverse your reality by, first of all, understanding where is it coming from, and then making changes and pretty much reframing that reality so that it aligns with where you want to go. We create the life that we want. Okay? Ladies, I'm going to take a sip here. My throat is a little bit dry, so give me a second. How are we enjoying the training so far? If you have any questions, put them in a chat. I will respond to them after the training, or just before I end it. Okay, so let's talk about another reason why many women feel the need to constantly prove themselves. So I talked about how we've evolved, and women being in positions that they've never been in triggers the body's fight or flight response, and as part of that response, needing to prove that you have what it takes to be where you are is part of the response to that, and it's automatic. Another part of it that reiterates the fact that women feel like they have to prove themselves is pretty much the conditioning that has been put in us from birth about women's leading a certain way where it's not fully respected. So women being more emotional beings, therefore being incapable of making decisions that would favor their team. They wouldn't take risks because they're so risk averse and stuff like that. Now, part of all, they call it stereotypes, right? It's all stereotypes. But part of the stereotypes, the women will hear this, they'll get outraged. And I say, the thing about stereotypes, I'm going to say this, use them for your own favor. Because nothing is better when you're able to completely turn around a situation where you're viewed as the underdog. Oh my gosh, your reward will be so much twice. It will be 3 times, 4 times way more. But this perception of these stereotypes, many women have told me, is that, oh, they think she's too emotional, and stuff like that. This perception then pretty much gives us that, our brain then goes into, okay, people think that a woman is supposed to be like this, so therefore I need to do things that will be opposite to what a woman would typically do, and part of that then triggers the need to want to prove yourself. Okay, because you're already coming in the negative, thinking that people think that women are not capable because they're more emotional and stuff like that, and so I have to do extra to overturn that perception so that people can respect me more, right? And then of course, we've evolved as a human society to respect the more masculine way of leadership and dominance and competition and all that stuff, right? We've evolved as society to respect that. And so part of all of this shortcomings play a role in how many women think when they enter positions of leadership or they want to rise in their career. They're already thinking about it. It's not conscious. They don't know they're thinking about it, but you can see it in the way that they behave. Like, I remember myself, ladies. So my background is engineering. So I have an engineering degree. And I remember when I was in school, we're about 10 girls and like over 400 guys. Automatic, what comes to mind is, ooh, I have to do 10 times better so that I could shine and feel like I'm good enough to be there. That didn't end. I moved from there, I entered the tech world, and pretty much I was one of those that looked like me. What do you think happened? You think I just sat down there like, I'm gonna have balance. I'm gonna have that. No, of course not. Of course not. Of course, I looked around. I was like, what of me? Oh my gosh, I have to open the door for other women to come in. So now I have to do double and triple. So the conditioning of, and not just conditioning, but the fact that there was just the minority factor that automatically triggers one of the core human needs, which is the need to want to belong, the need to want to be accepted. It's a core human need. So that triggers that part of your brain is like, oh, okay, how are we going to be accepted when we don't look like the people or look like the majority? And so that plays into the behavior of needing to prove that you belong, which is what you're seeing today. This perception even heightens when you're stepping into leadership roles, because they even fear women in those roles. And so what happens is you look around and then you're like, oh my gosh, no, I have to be perfect. And then another part of it is that when you're in a leadership role too, your visibility is on a different level versus if you were not in a leadership role. So that also plays into that. And so when you have that visibility, and then you have there's not enough that look like me, and then you have this is new to me, how am I supposed to be? Then you have the women are more emotional beings and stuff like that. All of that is a lovely cocktail that we see playing around today with women feeling that they have to prove themselves and earn their keep, right? Now, some women have asked me, but AB, does this mean that when you step into the workplace, you shouldn't prove that you're capable? I tell them, I don't come here to tell you, oh, you're so capable, you're intelligent. Because I actually feel like it would be disrespectful to do that, because I'm talking to women that are too capable. That's why we're in this problem. That's not your problem. Your problem is not that you're not capable, you're not intelligent. Nobody's arguing that. We know you're capable. The fact that you have a desire and you're where you are today in your career is proof that you were capable. So I don't even need to tell you that. You know that. And you wouldn't have this problem of being exhausted and worked out and overworked and stressed out if you were not capable. People who are not capable don't have this problem. Okay? They don't. So that's not even the case. Where we are right now is how do you, yes, it's great that you're capable, you're amazing in the work that you do, you're this great, inspiring leader who's rising to the top, showing up, doing the best that you can, but how do we take you to a place where you are also showing up for yourself and you're showing up authentically, valuing every aspect of you, your health, your well-being, your mind, your peace, your family, your friends, and having it all so that you don't forget that you are a person first before being an employee or a leader or a business or whatever it is, whatever situation that you're in. You're a human first, you're a woman first. How do we get you to remember that? So that you can enjoy where you are. Because if you don't remember that, you will not enjoy what it is that you had. You wouldn't have so much illnesses and sicknesses and stuff like that. Okay? So I don't want this life to be too long. All right, I think we're just getting into time here. So we've talked about a lot. We've talked about where evolutionary, how this comes into play and how women feel like they have to prove themselves because, again, you know, we have evolved, we have not evolved to be in positions that we are right now. We're doing excellent work, but our body gets triggered into stress when we're in those situations that are, first of all, we're highly accountable, we're visible, and there's not a lot of us. There's not a lot of women that look like us, or there's not a lot of women in that position. So that increases the stress and makes you pretty much think about whatever thing that I do is going to make or mar the situation, right? And then, of course, you having to try to earn your keep and overcompensate for those feelings of fear. All of this is all fear, ladies. Whether real or perceived is all fear. So how do you manage this? How do you come to a place where you're showing up excellent, you're respected, people know you as the go-to leader, your subordinates support you, your superiors are like, she's the main thing. Your family loves you, your children and your husband love you, or your partners, your friends love you, you are present, you're healthier, you're happier, you're peace. The people around you trust you because you are showing up authentically. How'd you get to this place? First things first is knowing where you are right now and knowing what part of the beliefs and the thoughts that I talked about, whether it's you thinking that you have to earn your keep because you're in a place where you don't feel like people respect women, whether you feel like, okay, I've always been told that women are so emotional and I'm trying not to be. If that's you, that's part of it, right? Understanding and having that awareness of why is it that I'm working 2, 3, 4 times as hard? Why is that? Recognizing the situations where that urge, that pressure comes in, and then your body responds to that by working late and doing things that are not healthy for your well-being. Okay, having that awareness, and then once you have that awareness, the next step is actually healing now, because there's quite a lot of inner work. I know you guys will see, if you Google how to overcome what I'm talking about, you're going to see external things, you know, talk to the boss and all that stuff. But the internal is still there. And I'm not saying that doesn't work, but the internal needs to be healed, because when your internal is healed, you attract better. You can say, this is not working for me, I'm out of here. You can get better opportunities. You can change the dynamics of where you are, and people start to perceive you differently. So healing is going to be required. So healing those thoughts that told you that you are not valuable unless you're doing 4 or 5 more times, that thought that you are not respectable because you're not acting in ways that are damaging to your health. You're going to have to heal those thoughts, right? And all of this work that I'm talking about takes place in phases and stages. Okay? Once you heal those thoughts, it's game over. Because now you're going to start functioning from a place where you are authentic with you. You are connected with your body, and you will no longer have to feel that pressure, or even if you feel the pressure, because you're human, you don't have to respond, right? You can start to reframe situations and pretty much turn them around so that they start to, or you start to perceive them differently. And that's actually how your behavior changes, or one of the ways, right? Okay, ladies, this was longer, but that's one of the things I wanted to talk to, or the main thing I wanted to talk to you today. And part of the steps that I talked about, so be having that awareness and doing the inner work and doing the inner healing, and then starting to adjust how you want to show up at work and also with your family, because as women, we're all connected, right? What you do in one part, it affects the other parts. So when you change one part, it changes the other parts. That is the work that I help with my clients, okay? So if this sounds like you, if you're in a place where you don't feel like you can do any of the things that I talked about, you don't know where to start, you're feeling burned out and stressed out, and one of the things that you're struggling with is, AB, I cannot stop. It doesn't feel like it's going to end. Before you quit, because I know you feel like you need to quit, before you quit, let's have a conversation. And let's really get to the bottom of what's going on with you, so that you can enjoy and have that health and peace and calm that you've always dreamed of. Be present for your family, be present for your children, have good health, have the energy to do the things that you want, to go hiking, to go exercise every day, to wake up in the morning feeling good without needing to take some tablets or coffee, to drink coffee just so that you can feel alive. Right? Get your body to a place where it's responding to pretty much how you want it to respond. And you have that energy, you have that time, you have that peace and love from the people around you, because now you're connected to them and you are building strong relationships. Your team members respect you, your superiors respect you, because you are just showing up whole and healthy. So it's possible, but it's a decision that you have to make for yourself to decide if you want to get there, okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, either by commenting on this video or messaging me privately. That's okay too. But I hope you guys enjoy this training. If you have any comments or anything of that sort, feel free to leave them in comments. But other than that, ladies, I will see you when next I see you.